Welcome to the Business of Story, where we connect you with the leading minds in the art of business storytelling. Learn from best-selling authors, Hollywood screenwriters, makers, content marketers, and brand raconteurs on how to craft and tell compelling stories that sell. The Business of Story is brought to you by Emma, which provides innovative email marketing tools and services that drive brilliant results. And by Convince and Convert, digital marketing advisors and counselors to leading brands and organizations worldwide. Convince and Convert helps you gain and keep your customers online. Here's your host, Park Howell.
Hey, welcome to Business of Story. Park Howell here, and I'm just delighted to have you back again listening to another edition of Business of Story. And like all the others, our job is to bring you amazing people with incredible insights, the wit and the wisdom to help teach you and me how we can become better at crafting and telling our compelling brand stories that sell. And again, no one, and I mean nobody, is going to buy into your story or my story until we own it first. And that's what this show is all about, to help you own your story, help your customers own their stories so that they can help drive their business through the power of story. Now, today, we have an amazing communicator from one of the largest monolithic organizations in the world, from Walmart. And he is an absolute gentleman. He knows his business inside and out. And we are going to spend the next 50 minutes, and you are going to be downloaded with an amazing amount of insight on how Walmart connects with more than 1 million of its employees, what they call associates, through Walmart One, the intranet, of which this gentleman is responsible for. He is the chief content creator, curator, publisher to help increase engagement of Walmart associates around the world on Walmart One. His name is Shane McLaughlin, and he is the Senior Manager, Content and Social Strategy at Walmart. I met Shane at Social Media Marketing World earlier this year, and we just became fast friends. He has spoken to my class in the Executive Masters for Sustainability Leadership program at Arizona State University to help them understand how to engage and connect with internal audiences, especially when you have a social initiative, you're trying to move further, faster internally. How do you tell those stories? How do you understand and appreciate and have empathy for the stories of your employees and your associates so that you can, again, connect on their terms and not your terms? Help them get what they want, and they'll go out of the way to help you get what you want. So on today's show with Shane, he has just been so generous in sharing his insights. He is going to talk about the 4 C's to building associate advocacy. And this is hugely important because, as we cover later in the show, that only 13% of employees in organizations literally around the world, a worldwide study, only 13% of employees are engaged. That's a travesty. I mean, if we're doing what we love to do and buying into the stories of the brands that we work for, then that engagement number should go up. It should skyrocket. And that essentially is Shane's job, is to help connect their stories with the brand story. So he's going to talk about the 4 C's to building associate advocacy. These 4 C's are what help drive him and his team to be able to curate and create and publish this massive amount of content and make sure that they truly understand what is important and matters to their associates, so they're telling the right stories. He's also going to talk about the 4 kinds of story content he focuses on Walmart One. So, there's a myriad of stories that we could be telling out there, but he's got 4 particular categories that really helps them keep it under control, keep it focused, and keep telling stories that matter to their audiences, their associates. And finally, we're going to wrap the show with Shane's insight on the power of pizza to help you capture and curate stories. I'll leave it at that, the power of pizza. It's so simple, you'll knock yourself up the head and maybe even go order a pizza because it's maybe that stepping stone into creating powerful stories. If you want to create your own stories, and we all do, otherwise you wouldn't be listening here, please join me over at businessofstory.com. I got myriad of tools to help you get your brand story clear, straight, so that you can own it to get others to buy into it. More on that later, but let's begin now with my good friend, an amazing gentleman, the Senior Manager, Content and Social Strategy at Walmart, Shane McLaughlin. Hey, Shane, welcome to Business of Story. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Park.
Yeah, you and I got acquainted at Social Media Marketing World. I think you sat in my Business of Story presentation, and then you were speaking a day or two later. And of course, we met over beer, one of my favorite places to meet.
Yes. Yes.
And we turned out to have an awful lot in common in that, you are the Senior Manager, Content and Social Strategy for Walmart, and I teach communications at ASU in the School of Sustainability through a program funded by the Rob and Melanie Walton Foundation. So we've got Walmart in our blood. You get to live it every day, and I live it most days, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Yeah, no, It's great. And I'm lucky. I love what I get to do for work in social media, in the business of story, and a big part of my job with Walmart is to support content for the company Extranet, which has over, give or take, 1 million or so associates coming to it every day. But what we're doing is surfacing content, stories, ideas, conversations, resources and benefits that help support their opportunity and their advancement with the company, as well as the culture of the company, which goes back 50 plus years and is so integral to the success of the business. So I'm a lucky guy.
Well, tell us how you found yourself in this position. You've been with Walmart for a while. How did you move up to the ranks to where you are, and what is your ultimate goal?
It's a great question. I have a background in journalism, and I think with a lot of people working in social or corporate affairs where I am, you start out in some way or another working in journalism. I have a background in English, Bachelor of Arts from Holy Cross College in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I worked for Inc. magazine as a reporter coming out of school. And in the early days of the internet, in the mid to late 90s, I worked in the emerging world of new media, running content for various pieces of Inc.com, which is still running strong, which is a business property dedicated to entrepreneurship and to spreading ideas for how people grow companies, creatively manage their startups, manage people, raise funding, come up with great ideas. And in the end, really drive to success, because the Inc. 100 is the top 100 list Inc. 500 is the top 500 companies, private companies in the country. And that was a good start for me, because I was writing business newsletters right out of college, like surfacing content that mattered to an audience. We were hosting conversations, not unlike this one, with entrepreneurs around the world over voice over IP. And most importantly, we were starting to understand how this new world of social media and the idea that all of us can be influencers, all of us can be subject matter experts, and all of us have something to offer to an audience that's hungry for ways to improve and evolve, whether you're growing a business or growing a career, as is with the case with Walmart. So I worked in publishing, coming off of Inc.com. I worked for a publisher out of Washington, D.C., and then eventually in the early 2000s came to the corporate world, came to the world of corporate affairs, worked for Sprint Nextel, went there in 2003 and helped build a new function, internal communications function there that didn't exist, did some speech writing, worked for some senior executives, CEO and the chairman of the company as a speechwriter, and also did some media relations at my next job as well, working for Nokia, which was the cell phone provider, the first cell phone we all had, and a great product, and an innovative piece of hardware. And that's where I really got into the social media world, in the corporate world, and we were supporting the launch of global products. I was responsible for supporting and promoting and evangelizing for services that were offered on the devices like mobile IM, email, and social networking clients in the early days of Facebook. And then ultimately, I came out here to Walmart to work on the Walmart One, which is our extranet, which supports, like I said, roughly 1 million associates. And what we do is think about being the window on our company. Specifically, we're the place associates can go when they're not in a store, when they're off the clock, when they're on their phones, and they do things like check their pay stub and check their schedule for the coming week. But what we try to serve up to them is the content that also matters to them, whether they're resources that allow them to get a GED or a college degree or business skills and advanced learning or Rosetta Stone for free. Walmart has a lot of great resources that support the development of our associates. And, I feel like I'm a key part to helping them understand what's available to them. And then not only serving it up to them, but highlighting the great stories of associates who go on to get a GED or online high school degree, diploma, college diploma, business learning, all these things that I mentioned. And for me, that's kind of a dual role of not only connecting to the audience, but learning from the audience and telling their story as we go.
So your audience is the Walmart audience. You're not doing any external media relations work or facing communications. Yours is about connecting with the Walmart employees online.
Yes.
And then sharing their stories just for what's the overall goal? Just overall employee satisfaction, brand engagement, that kind of thing?
Yep. The goal is really to create ambassadors in our workforce and to help connect them to the content that's valuable to them, that helps them excel, and the content that's valuable to the business and helps the business grow and helps our sales grow and most importantly, helps us serve customers like no one else can. Because I work out here in San Bruno in the global e-commerce building where they're coming up with new innovative technologies, like a mobile app that allows you to shop online or to find a product in a store or to also be able to create a wish list so that when you're putting together your store shopping list or your Christmas wish list, it's easy for you to do. And all these innovations are happening at a rapid pace. And Walmart has a real advantage because, we've got 5,000 plus stores just in the US that support the mobile technologies, the emerging technologies that we're putting together. And, when you got a huge customer base who are starting to discover what their smartphones can do, you have an opportunity to educate and serve them even better, whether they're in a store or on a mobile or even just out and about. And that's a pretty exciting opportunity to be able to be a part of.
Well, and you were kind enough to come and help me out with my class at ASU. You did a webinar a few weeks ago, and it was all working with our executive master's students about employee engagement and how you use story within Walmart and Walmart One to, as you said, not only connect but learn from them. So,
yes.
Can you go through and let our listeners know a little bit about your approach to that and how important story is for you connecting with that audience?
Absolutely. And I think what I really boiled down the story to, and we talked about this, and it's sort of my copyrighted calling card of sorts because it's simple, but the 4 C's, the 4 C's that I came up with that are really simple ideas that kind of hammer home the way I think and the way I use story for my audience. And the first C is content. And content, of course, is still king because great content gets people to your site, gets people to engage and click, gets people to take an action. Lord knows there's a lot of content that's not great out there. But when it comes down to content, I've classified, without getting too far into the weeds, I've classified 4 principal kinds of content that you can think about as you're dialing up your own vision for your content strategy. And the first kind of content really is the what's in it for me content, the money pocketbook issue facing content. And when I first got on Walmart One, I realized a lot of people were looking for things like we offer a 10% associate discount to associates in stores on almost all merchandise that you can buy. That's a really great benefit. And for most associates, who are already there and are shopping there, they want to find out more about it. So I thought, okay, so how do we start to tell that story a little bit? How do I dedicate my editorial calendar once a month, or perhaps around a pay period, because I know people are getting their pay stubs from Walmart One. How do I marry up the discounts that we offer to that? So, and also resources. We offer early access to new merchandise, sometimes new services in stores like video game trade-in, which was a service we offered a while back that we launched to associates first. So we're always thinking about ways we can help our associates save money and live better, because they work in retail and they love to shop. So that money-focused, pocketbook-based issue is the first. The second kind of content is...
And real
really
quick, Shane, just to be real clear, that what's in it for me is from your audience point of view, not from the brand point of view. Just want to underscore that your audience is the center of this story.
Thank you. Thank you for, yes, I appreciate that. It's true. And that's what we're always thinking about, because at the end of the day, if it's not interesting or engaging to them, it's not it's not going to be anything, it's going to fall on deaf ears. Like my boss likes to say, it's sort of like broccoli and cheese. People want to come and get their cheese, but we're going to serve them up a little bit of broccoli as well, which helps them understand that there's other content that's important to the company, which I'll get to in a second, because the second bucket is that company content, which is important. The informative, the news, insights, the information and analysis, the earnings report that we want our people to know about, so they can see how their hard work contributes to the growth and success of the company. All that is very important and not always easy to serve up, because if it doesn't immediately resonate with them in their pocketbooks, sometimes it's harder for them to click. So what I try to do is, for example, something like Walmart Pay, which is a new way you can pay in a Walmart using your phone. What I try to do is think about, okay, how do we talk about Walmart Pay in a way that's compelling for the associate audience? How do we invite them to use it as a customer? And I think about it in a way to tell that broader company story, but then bring it down to the level of saying, this is a great way for all of us to centralize how we manage our discount as a Walmart associate. In other words, you can conveniently use your associate discount without having to pull your card out. It's that like everyday sort of life hack, almost kind of improvement that makes someone say, "Oh, I want to try that because it matters to me." So that's part of how we think in terms of not just posting memos or corporate information about something that doesn't necessarily connect, but we're always trying to bring it down to say, what's in it for me? All of us every day go to Facebook because we like to see pictures of our friends or our kids or relatives. And, we like to get those stories about people that we love and understand and be inspired by events throughout the world. And when we bring it down to the level of each of us as individuals, I think it really helps. The other two types of content are kind of that emotional kind of content, which speaks to inspirational storytelling, initiatives, or causes sometimes that our company is promoting. And just to cite a couple examples, we're hiring 250,000 veterans by I believe the year is 2023. I'm pretty sure we've already hired 133,000 veterans, and we also support veterans We supported veterans last holiday, and going into this holiday, our Green Light a Vet campaign historically invites people to place a green light in their on their light post outside their house to show support for veterans coming back. And that kind of emotional, inspirational, supportive storytelling tells our veteran audience that they matter to us, and we show that they matter to us by committing to hiring 250,000 of them. So that's one example. We're also extremely active in fighting hunger and sustainability issues, things like clean energy, solar, wind power, women's economic empowerment, and the training of 1 million women globally in professional development, and supporting women's businesses in the U.S. Through all kinds of grants that we give. So the point is that those emotional stories, how the company supports great, important initiatives, veterans, women, sustainability, hunger, like those are really key to telling your story of your company and to showing people that you're making a difference in your communities and in your where you serve your customers.
And Walmart does have such a huge impact. Of course, you hear it. I know it gets a lot of black eyes from people because it has such reach. But I read somewhere a couple of years ago, as I was doing some work with my class, that Walmart is one of the largest solar power providers or creators or generators in the world with the amount of solar that you have on your rooftops.
That's true. That is, yep. In fact, I was very fortunate. I got to see President Obama speak down at our store in Mountain View, which has solar panels on it. And at the time, we had announced over 100 stores in California alone with solar panels. And I know that number's higher. I don't know what that number is now, but yes, we have been recognized by, I believe it was the EPA, for the progressive strategy in solar, and it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then the last piece of content, I realized I haven't gotten off 1C, but of course, we're doing a podcast, so we have the luxury of time. I think one of the most important things when you're thinking about content, and one thing I love about Walmart is the need to have fun and the need to not take yourself too seriously, and to use social, to use your content, to not be afraid to do an April Fool's joke or to make something have a good laugh at your own expense. I myself, there's a lot of material to work with on my own in terms of how the potential for humor. And Sam Walton famously danced a hula on Wall Street, and it's worth looking it up on YouTube because it's just hilarious. And it showed that even the guy that started the whole thing, who had untold success and was a truly inspirational guy and an innovative thinker in the business world, wasn't afraid to not take himself too seriously every now and then. So I think just having fun conversations, not being afraid. When we think about companies and how people and cultures work, is people work with each other because they like each other and they talk about things at the water cooler that aren't relevant to work. Social should reflect that because, we don't always need to be hyper-focused on our business. It's important to be successful, but it also gives us a little bit of a release when we can have a chuckle about something or, share perhaps a funny video and not take ourselves too seriously. So that's why it's important.
Did you by chance see this article that came out from the new Target employee? It was on social last week. It was making the rounds, and he basically just covered here was his first week and all the experiences that he had within his first week at Target. And it's brilliant. I'll have to send you a link to it. I don't have it right in front of me, but I thought about you in preparation for this podcast because he was very honest, very fun. And one of the comments on it, I thought someone pointed out something terrific about it called, he was very optimistic in his views of what he was experiencing with little kids and giving them stickers and running out of stickers to, old folks that were kind of lost in the store to some really crazy stuff that happened. And it all went down within a week.
Wow, that's great.
It was so much fun. And I thought about you in that, the way he just opened up about the brand and the experience of it really humanized the brand, whether he was trying to do that or not. Yeah. It was done in such a way that it absolutely captured the people and the customers, the humanity coming through there. And I was kind of curious if Target would applaud him for that or saying, no, man, you don't do that without our approval, especially when you're talking about that kind of detail within our stores. How would you handle something like that?
I would applaud him because it's real. And it doesn't get any more real than talking about helping customers and talking about giving people a good experience when they walk in and channeling the values. Our Walmart values are respect for the individual, service to the customer, always act with integrity and strive for excellence. And I mean, they seem like, sort of They seem like it seems like I read it off a slide, yes, but I can tell you they come to life when our associates in stores are focused on our customers. And I tell you, social media does amplify that. I mean, we know social media can amplify the negative, and we've all seen that. But also, if you think about the positive, I mean, you think about things like the Ice Bucket Challenge to support Lou Gehrig's awareness, the It Gets Better project, which helps kids who are struggling with sexual identity, the Dove campaign, which talked about how beautiful all women are, regardless of the stereotypes that we see. Like these things, these positive things, really do get amplified. And even in the everyday, just one example, and I know we're only doing a podcast here, but I'd like to give a plug for the Walmart in San Benito, Texas. This is really, really great because I have sons. I have two little guys, so they're not going to be interested in this product, but it's the new Power Wheel Princess carriage that arrived on August 29th. And there's a photo of an associate. I'm looking at the Facebook page now, and I'll email it to you. It's been shared. It's just a picture of an associate standing next to a carriage that's on sale for $398. Been shared 136,327 times. It's got 33,000 likes and 29,000 comments. And they didn't pay a cent. They didn't, I have a rock band. I spend $20 to boost something on Facebook, and I'm lucky if, I get 50 people looking at it. This thing just shows the power of social media to amplify something that people are interested in, something that's fun, and most importantly, something that, to your point, Park, features an associate. Like this was just an associate in the store who posted this, smiling next to it. And perhaps if it was just like a marketing piece or yet another product that people are kind of shown in the way that stuff gets marketed, it would not nearly have had the kind of resonance that this has. But this is a personal promotion, and it's an authentic way that it got out. And you can't. The best part about social is you can't plan for it. It's so wonderful to see how an associate in a store just post something to a local Facebook page and it goes viral like that, because that's in my mind, that's successful customer service. That's giving your audience what they want, not telling them what they need to buy. You're having a conversation about what they want and they respond. Oh,
if you could just plan that virality. That's the hardest part. So what made that post go like crazy like that? What was it about it?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I think it really just speaks to where people are interested in. I think the product was gaining some interest, and I think that it was just. I think at the end of the day, I think it's timing. I think it's stars aligning. I think that's what's wonderful about social is no company or algorithm can successfully kind of predict the way people will think. We spend a lot of time out here in San Bruno on predictive analytics, on big data, on really trying to understand where customers will go. But at the end of the day, I think the true nature of social is that it's basically, it's kind of a pile-on. When something is interesting to a critical mass of core influencers, whether positive or negative, people will respond in a positive way. People will chime in and say, this is great. This is a great product. And I'm thinking about holidays now. And, we're coming into back to school. The summer's over. Merchandise is starting to be positioned in our stores. We're thinking about holiday. And all those key factors kind of come together. But yeah, I mean, if you or I had the secret sauce, we'd be sitting on our own private island somewhere, no doubt.
Yeah. I was multitasking on you while you were going through that. I did find the article. I found it at Thrillist.com. It's called "A Target Employee Documented His First Week of Work and You Will Love All of It." And it really is a fun, fascinating read. And this guy put it on his Tumblr blog called Kim Possibooty. KIMPOSSIBOOTY. You can find it there or over at Thrillist.com. I'll send you a link. We'll include it in the show notes as well, but I think you'll really enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've gotten through that first C's. You got three more C's of advocacy. You got content. By the way, you say content is king, and I totally agree. And I always like to add to that I believe storytelling is the kingdom's sorcerer. It's the way that we're able to connect and get people bewitched by our stories and get them involved in moving on. So what are the other three C's you work with?
Sure. My second C, 4 C's according to Shane McLaughlin, thank you. My second C is culture, which I think is critical to any communication from any organization. And some people, there's a debate about whether technology diminishes or enhances culture. And I think you can look at it either way. I think you have a chance for it to amplify culture. And I think with Walmart and what we've done, we've made serious strides to highlight the best parts of our culture on our digital channels. I mean, a lot of times people think of a culture as like, what's a culture? It's what happens when the CEO is not around. It's how people treat each other. It's how people interact. But I think the essence of culture is what we're talking about. The essence of culture is stories. And how do you take those stories to your digital platforms? How do you tell them on Facebook and LinkedIn and on Medium and on your company blog and on Twitter? And you meet the needs of those platforms to be successful, whether it's Instagram with photos or 140 characters with Twitter or a great business angle for LinkedIn. But you're able to effectively tell that story about and maintain the integrity of what that story is from your culture onto these other platforms. And when you do it, you can be successful. And these stories, I mean, I like to think about it, oversimplify it in a way and say, if you want your digital platform to reflect your culture, what do people talk about in the break rooms? What do people get excited about? For us, Q4, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, our shareholders meeting where we celebrate the legacy of the business and really celebrate the contributions of our associates. All these things can come to life, and they come to life not only by us telling great stories, but by us, which leads me to the third C. I'm not going to get bogged down in all the C's. The third C, which is conversation. These cultural stories drive conversation, drive awareness, drive people understanding and getting and emulating the best of the culture, because the culture itself is the secret to the success of the company, like how people act, the dedication to customers. We have a rule in our stores called the 10-foot rule. And essentially what it means is if anyone's 10 feet away from you in a store, you ask them if you can help them find anything. And you sort of do that even when something else is occupying your time. Mm-hmm. And that 10-foot rule is a simple idea, but it's ingrained in the culture, and it's part of yet one way, yet it's another way that we are able to serve customers well.
Okay, now I need to underscore this because I've seen this in action. I've had the distinct pleasure on 2 occasions to be able to sit down with Rob and Melanie Walton, chairman of the board of Walmart, and do interviews with them for Arizona State University because they're big benefactors of the school, and they were being recognized at an annual event, and so they asked if I would come in and interview them, to pull the content out. And I got to tell you, they are so nice, so down to earth. You hear that Bentonville sort of drawl coming out of Rob, and they couldn't be nicer, kinder people. They give back tremendously to the communities that Walmart serves, I know, around the world, but especially here in Arizona. And the one thing that struck me about it is, again, the negative press that you all get because you're so big, and I totally understand that, but I don't know if people truly understand who is sitting at the top of this organization and the very friendly, kind people that they are, that I see that this culture came down. When you and I got a chance to meet again, over at Social Media Marketing World, what struck me about you is kind of that same sort of discipline of nice, what you see is what you get, honesty, integrity. Now let's jump over to this conversation side. So here I am, my wife and I, Michelle and I, are sitting in this small little hole in the wall Mexican restaurant in Scottsdale called Frankenlupe's. I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. It's been around forever in Old Town Scottsdale.
Sure.
We got there, we were with our friends, the Walshes, and we were having kind of an early dinner before the crowd came in. And it, sure enough, like the tide, it all rolled in, and we got up to leave. And way across the room, in another room actually, sat Rob and Melanie Walton. And they were in the far corner, crammed in this little table, people all around them coming and going. And I mentioned to my buddy, I go, how many people do you think in here realizes that the chairman of Walmart is sitting right there having, his margarita and a taco or whatever? And I pointed them out, and they said, are you going to go over and say hello? And I go, no, I don't want to bother them. They're having their nice night out. So on my way out, Melanie, saw me, and I had already gotten through the door. And my buddy Pete grabs me and says, hey, man, she's waving you down. She obviously wants to talk to you. She was up knocking on the window as I was walking away and then waving me back in. So I went back in and I made my way through the crowd and I sat down at, they pulled up a little chair there, sat down. They literally were just having, their first margaritas, getting ready for the meal. And we sat and chatted for about 5 minutes. And again, it just struck me like, wow, I mean, these are regular, kind folks. So everything you've told me about with this culture from the top down, and that conversation, that 10-foot rule, I saw it literally in action a couple times now from your chairman of the board and his wife. And so I can see how it plays down through the rest of the organization.
Yep, it does. And another part of the culture that I like about Walmart that I think, and I'm convinced actually is one of the biggest reasons that it is successful is this idea that you can go as far as your talent and your own drive and your own passion for what you do can take you. And that's really wonderful because it's an entrepreneurial place. It's a large company, but there are opportunities throughout a large company. Whether if you're working in a super center, you might go work in a neighborhood market or get a job with a distribution center. Or one thing I'm really proud of that we've done with Walmart One is we've promoted degree programs in technology and other degrees that you can get, but also invited people from stores who have these technology backgrounds to interview for jobs in the home office. And the idea being is that, it's up to you to own your career. It's true of life. It's an entrepreneurial place. And it's wonderful when you see associates who pop up on my site and say, I had no idea that I could take this class. And once I did, I made myself more marketable for this position. And now that I'm in this position, I'm growing my career, my skill set, I'm making more money, I'm able to take care of my family, and they're thankful for that. And it's a wonderful thing about the culture is that I've never had a boss or anyone I worked for at this company that ever said to me, don't think about taking that course, or, when I've been interested in new opportunities, they're supportive, and any great manager that really that really is ingrained in our culture really supports the fact that it's up to you as an associate, and when you go out there and live up to your potential and keep expanding your opportunity and getting better and better every day, you feel great, and that's what keeps people motivated. The idea that we can all grow and evolve and ultimately get better, because we all know we can improve no matter where we are, and that process of improvement and knowing that we're becoming better at our professional and our business lives is just really motivating.
Now, we've been through 3 of the 4. I want to hold on the 4 until after our sponsor messages. This is the point in the show that I get to thank our wonderful sponsors for helping make this podcast happen. Let them share their stories. And then when we come back, we'll cover number 4. And I got a couple of other questions for you, Shane, if that works for you.
That sounds great.
All right. We'll be back right after this. Hey, if you like what you're hearing here on Business of Story, then you are going to love Definitive, the email from Convince and Convert that many marketers say is the most useful resource around. Each day, the team at Convince and Convert picks a topic and sends you the 3 best resources ever created about that topic. It's topical, it's timely, it's useful, so go to definitivedigest.com and subscribe for free right now. Hey, I've got a question for you. What's the best call to action button color on your website? Yeah, you probably didn't see that one coming, did you? Well, what's the best shape and sizes of your CTA buttons? And what copy gets more clicks? You know, these questions have interrupted my sleep patterns for weeks now, until I downloaded a helpful new email marketing guide from Emma called Why We Click: The Psychology Behind a Great Call to Action. You'll learn how applying just a little bit of brain science can transform your CTA buttons into small but mighty conversion powerhouses. It covers the button color, copy, and placement that helps skyrocket click rates. Check it out at myemma.com/click. You know, Emma helps marketers everywhere send smart, stylish email newsletters, promotions, and automated campaigns, and to help us all rest a little easier knowing our email marketing is doing its job. So check out their new publication at myemma.com/click. You, like all business leaders and communicators, have an important brand story to tell, but it's probably not being heard. There's just too much competition for our attention, unless, of course, you tell a better story. For over a year now, I have connected you with more than 50 international story artists through this podcast to help you craft your ideal brand story for the growth of your enterprise and your people. Did you know I'm also available to you for speaking engagements, brand and leadership story workshops, even for one-on-one Skype or telephone brand story strategy consults? Plus, you can begin clarifying your brand story right now by downloading the interactive DIY workbook at businessofstory.com. You see, your sales don't have to be comedies or tragedies. You can make them epic by clarifying your brand story and connecting with audiences and customers like never before. So download your workbook today at businessofstory.com. And if you're not 100% satisfied, I'll happily refund your money. And one last thought. Just remember, the most potent story you ever tell is the story you tell yourself. So make it a good one, my friends. Story on. Welcome back to Business of Story, and our guest today, Shane McLaughlin. He's the Senior Manager, Content and Social Strategy at Walmart, and he heads up the storytelling, business storytelling on Walmart One, the internal communications network that they use, their intranet that connects with over 1 million of the Walmart employees. I was going to ask you, Shane, is this any employee? I mean, if I just get hired on and I'm a bag boy, and I know what that's like because I was a bag boy at Safeway growing up, can I jump on Walmart One?
Yes, you can. If you're an associate, you have a WIN number that allows you to, it's like self-identify as associates, and you can you have an account right away. It's similar. It's not exactly like Facebook, but it's a similar idea in that it is a social platform. So you can go upload a picture, put a quick anecdote about yourself, and also follow people who are posting comments and entering discussions on Walmart One. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, be a part of a conversation that helps you learn and grow with the company, and helps us as the content providers and as engagers across the business to understand how we can serve you better as you serve customers.
And you must have to do some training, I would imagine, because not all associates are going to be up and running on social media and really understand what they've got there. So you must have some sort of training program as well to get them engaged?
Yeah, it's fairly informal, but I'm really proud that Walmart One has become an important resource that's talked about in our stores and is talked about in employee onboarding. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory when you get into it. But one thing that also is worth noting is that a large majority of our audience is on mobile devices, and our Walmart One app is how they access our content and pay stub and schedule via their mobile, and which is super convenient and a great way to help people, quickly and conveniently get the stuff they need, whether they're coming off a shift or going into a shift the night before. And what we try to do is serve up that content and company story with the practical stuff that that drives them to the site.
So, and I guess the real need here then is that statistic that you stated in your presentation to our students about 80% of the global workforce being completely unengaged. So is that kind of like at the top of the food pyramid for you saying, all right, we need to get that number down here within our rank and file at Walmart? And so you're doing it through Walmart One.
That's true. Yeah. That's a Gallup study that basically said 87% of the global workforce, 142 country study on the state of the global workforce that said only 13% of employees worldwide are engaged at work. And they studied 180 million employees. So we're looking at it from the lens of how do we connect and inspire and create ambassadors and create evangelists and create people who are knowledgeable, influencers, if you will, who understand what's going on with the company and can share that information in a valuable way with other associates, whether it's the latest discount or a new access to merchandise or a service or something that we're doing that we want our people to know about first. Because at the end of the day, I think when you show a little bit of love to an audience and you say thank you and you say we really appreciate everything you're doing and you support that with substance, that's going to help change that statistic. That's going to help help engage more people in our companies globally, because that is a pretty startling study from Gallup.
Mm-hmm. And you're combating that then, or helping fire the flames of engagement through your 4 C's of advocacy. You covered content, and content is still king, culture, conversation. What's number 4?
Number 4, and I would say almost I saved the best for last, because number 4 is customer. And every business, to be successful, it's not rocket science, but hyper focus on the customer experience. How do you think about serving customers in everything you do? Any position, whether you're an accountant or you're a cashier or you're a social media guy or you're a truck driver, when you can remind people that customers are the reason for our existence, Sam Walton famously said, the only person who's the boss is the customer. They're the boss of everyone from the chairman on down, because they can choose to leave. And, that is a very powerful thing when customers can leave. And one thing that we've done with Walmart One is we've thought about how not only that we market to our associates to talk about customers, but we remember the value of them as our customers as well. They have an associate discount that it's a great benefit that they use. They are in our stores all the time, and they shop with us all the time, and they have really great thoughts, ideas, and feedback that really can make a difference for customers and help us serve customers even better. So when we think about them as customers, we think about how we can, for example, one thing right now we're doing, it's a good example, is, we brought back a layaway program a couple of years ago, which is the opportunity for customers around the holiday season to choose an item and then to pay for that item in installments going up to the holidays. And it's a great way to plan your holiday shopping. It's a great way to budget for larger purchases. And we actually launched that service early for our associates, a day early. And then we give them 4 days extra for our associates beyond what our regular customers get. And that kind of exclusivity and showing people like, hey, we thank you for what you do, and we're going to give you a better customer, not a better customer experience, but we're going to show you some exclusivity because we're thankful for you and for all you do for us. Like that, there's real value in that. And, for example, also one thing I try to do out here is, there's a lot of technology innovation happening, and there's a lot of new thoughts and ideas with how we use mobile and how we come up with predictive analytics to figure out how people shop and how we create amazing experiences for people. Like there's an experience I haven't talked about called online grocery, which essentially allows customers in 60 markets now. So it's rolling out at a pretty rapid clip. Yeah, our online grocery service allows people to order groceries online at great prices and then drive up to a store and have them loaded into the back of their car. And, for a mom with a couple of young kids, not having to get out of the car and walk through a store to shop, like there is untold value in that service. And another innovative service that we offer is Walmart offers streaming movies via a service called Vudu. And Vudu is a great experience. It's a competitor to Netflix. They have all the most recent media and movies and TV shows. And we recently stood up the incorporation of the associate discount to that service, and we rolled it out to our customers early, or to our associates, I should say, early, to say, hey, we just want you to know we value you as an associate, and we also want to give you a heads up about this innovative service that we have, and you can use your discount on that service as well, because we want you to understand and know about a lot of these great offerings that our company provides customers. So it's a win-win for everybody, and I'm always thinking about how we kind of create some special initiatives, special things for that audience that make them say, oh, this is great, I'm going to try this. Not only going to try this as a customer, but I'm going to tell my customers about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to let people know in stores, and that's really the sweet spot for social.
You have so much going on there with all the different initiatives. What keeps striking me is that you're not out there telling a bunch of content and data and things, but you are creating these programs that are actually stories in and of themselves, so that your associates get to live into this narrative. With so much going on, how do you curate all that information, number one, so that you're not overwhelming them and you are finding the nuggets, the stories that they really care about? And then on the heels of that question, can you let our listeners know the power of pizza? Because I still crack up about that from your presentation in social media marketing world. So, how do you curate that?
I appreciate it. I'm glad, that's my meme. Maybe that's my 15 minutes right there, the power of pizza. I saw that on LinkedIn and Twitter, and it felt great. I'll get to that in a second. And to your first question, it is. It's not easy Walmart One is a very horizontal platform. And we offer so many resources to our people. We offer education, classes, discounts, human resources and benefits information, pay stub, timesheet, videos of the CEO, earnings, information about acquisitions like our jet acquisition. And my point is, for me alone, that's always a struggle to figure out what's relevant to the audience. For the company, it's the same challenge, because we're involved in all these other issues and in these other really great impactive things like veterans, women's economic hiring, sustainability, and everything I mentioned. And I think what we're doing now is really honing in on what matters. And we understand that the opportunity for associates and elevating that story, talking about our culture and how it supports people's personal growth, and whether or not they stay with Walmart for a year or 6 months or 10 years, that they leave our company with better skills. They leave our company being able with an enhanced potential that they didn't have when they came in, because they learned about customer service or logistics or merchandising, and all these things are really powerful. And so we're thinking about like the core opportunity stories we want to tell. We're thinking about the core issues like Made in the USA and our commitment to American manufacturing, which is a pretty significant commitment over the next few years to source only, I'm going to pull it up right now. I have some notes myself. We're committed to buying $250 billion in U.S. made products. So, that's also a wonderful thing to focus on, because that comes down to merchandise, and that comes down to highlighting American made merchandise in our stores, and our associates and our customers are there because of the merchandise. And in retail, it's kind of the main focus. So to your point is, we're trying to really think about, what matters most to the audience, and how do we surface content in a way that's compelling. And one really great One really great sort of thing about that is that our CEO, Doug McMillon, is an influencer himself. He's got I invite everyone to like his Facebook page, facebook.com/Doug McMillon. Check out his Instagram page, which is instagram.com/Doug McMillon. And he's a really inspiring guy because he tells the stories behind these key initiatives that we're focused on. I mean, he's in stores. He's recognizing associates for just doing great work to help our company drive 8 straight quarters of improved comp sales and help us improve customer traffic and the way we serve our customers. And he's in a lot of ways, he is able to, like any great CEO can do, really sum up in a few words or a powerful picture or a great little anecdote from a story, just sum up exactly what the company's all about, which is helping people save money so they can live better and, really being champions for customers to have great experiences that are meaningful to them and that help their families at the end of the day.
And how many organizations the size of Walmart has a CEO who's happy to be on social media sharing his stories? That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
I know, and wonderful thing he did. And it's a risk, Park. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you think about it, like, just the way social can be negative. He did something that was really incredible at shareholders. He did a Facebook Live mention where he thanked associates. He realized that not all associates could be there in the room with him. But he thanked them and invited them to just keep up the good work because the company is recently invested. Last fall, we invested $2.7 billion in our associates, in wage increases, in better training, and in technologies in stores that allow us to serve customers better. And now we're starting to see that investment take root in terms of an improved performance. And he thanked associates for that. And that's ultimately so genuine and authentic. There's no social post, there's no picture marketing campaign or press release that can ever beat a CEO standing up in front of his people and saying, really appreciate everything you've done and you matter. So, yeah, it's pretty powerful.
And using that channel that they can be watching that in their own home, at the office or whatever. So he's using the technology that is available to him, but still trying to connect like, he would around a campfire, I guess, if you would.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the wonderful thing about it.
Well, I can't think of a better way to finish this show than your 15 minutes of fame around the power of pizza, because sometimes I think we overthink all of this stuff. And when you mentioned this to me, it sort of settled me back to, we just got to get back to the basics most often when we're telling our stories.
Exactly. Oh, that's it. I mean, it's just, it's the conversation you and I are having now, which is just, it goes back to millennia when we told stories around the campfire. In a lot of ways, things haven't changed. We just give them more bells and whistles. And to your point, what I like to do is get people together in a room over pizza, and we talk about the stories that we're telling as a business, and we share ideas about what works and what doesn't, and the surprises like the princess carriage that I showed you, that no one can predict. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is when people sit down and eat together in a formal way, like over pizza, kind of the protocols and the way things are done and the process and level doesn't really matter as much. It's just people sharing ideas and doing something together, which is enjoying a meal. And that's powerful. And it's more important than ever to have conversations like over pizza, or have conversations like with you on the business of story here, because, that's how you have that authentic human connection, and that's where the ideas flow. And you got to be careful sometimes, because with social, with email, with instant messenger, or all the myriad of tools that we use in our work world, sometimes, the meaning and the inflection and the point that's trying to be communicated is lost. And it's so great to just get someone on the phone, talk about things that are coming, get them excited about the stories that matter, and recognize each other for the good work you're doing to actually to drive results and awareness and ambassadorship and sales and retention and sentiment and all the things that you want to measure when you're talking about telling stories and you're talking about connecting to an audience. So
all that business growth driven by the power of story, literally. Just connecting people on a human level and helping them achieve what they want on their journeys. And then, again, they'll go out of their way to help you get what you want as a brand.
Exactly. Yep. There's nothing more powerful than a person who is an ambassador and who believes in what you do.
Yeah. Well, Shane, I can't thank you enough for spending an hour with us here on Business of Story. Just a tremendous amount of great information. And it's really fun, I think, to be able to peek into, America's largest or one of America's largest corporations and how you all bring people together through storytelling, through connecting on their terms. Really insightful.
Hey, thank you for having me, and appreciate the conversation. And let's keep talking. It's always, I really enjoy it.
I look forward to it as well, Shane. And I'd like to thank all of you for tuning into this episode of Business of Story. Of course, if you want to start getting your story straight or bringing more clarity to your brand story, please visit us over at businessofstory.com. Have a ton of tools there just waiting for you to help you pull your story together so that you can truly own it. And when you own your story, it enables others to buy into it. So, and then also please visit us on iTunes. Let us know how you like the show. Give us a comment, give us a shout out, a ranking, and share it with your world so that we can bring story artists like Shane McLaughlin to the rest of the world out there. So thank you for tuning in. Join us next week when we will have another incredible guest here on Business of Story. And until then, have a wonderful life.
Thanks for tuning in to The Business of Story. Don't forget there are terrific free storytelling resources for you at thebusinessofstory.com, where you'll also find the complete show archive. The Business of Story is sponsored by Emma and by Convince and Convert, and is produced by Convince and Convert Media. Find more great shows like The Business of Story at marketingpodcasts.com, the first search engine for marketing podcasts. Podcast imaging by
audiobag.com.